Now, these slides for us to understand as what we have discussed in our previous slides, the fall protections, if we don't follow any fall protections, and if people are following any unsafe practices, this can lead to incidents for sure. So work at height is not a circus. Always use the fall protection. You know what all the first slide we have seen how important the work at height precaution, because we have developed the procedures by seeing so many incidents in past. We have evolved. There was a so much evaluation in working at height developments. Then we have seen the slides which related to what all the unsafe conditions or practices can cause deaths or serious injuries. Then upcoming after that, we have seen what all the protection measures or precautionary measures are existing or available in our organization or we need to develop. So this, if we didn't follow, then there is a possibility of so many incidents to occur in the organizations. Now we are coming back to the important slides to discuss what we have seen before. Now we are going one by one what we need as professionals. First one, a task or job specific fall protection plan or procedure or method should be developed and approved by a competent person. You need to read and understand each and every word very clearly. A task or job specific, because some tasks maybe you need to carry out some task at 5-meter level. Some tasks you may need to carry out at 10-meter level, but the both risks are not same. When you're going into high risk, high elevation, then you need to accordingly develop your task or job specific plan based on the hazard is existing. So the task or job specific fall protection plan or procedure or method should be developed. After developing this plan, it must be approved by a competent person. So the competent person in the sense he is having adequate knowledge, adequate skills, adequate experience to understand the fall protection which you have developed is adequate for the fall protection. Now the second point, the fall protection plan shall include a task or job specific risk assessment and requirements relating to the following. Why we need? Because when you have the task specific risk assessment, you will be evaluating whether the risk has been addressed, whether the control measures has been provided. Sometimes you may not have adequate control measures like barricades or something. So in that case, what are the other precautionary measures to be taken so that your objective is to reduce the risk to the acceptable level? Till you reduce the risk to the acceptable level, you need to develop some additional control measures to ensure that your control measures are adequate, it is efficient. So that must be verified. Then training program for employees working for a fall risk position, you need to develop a training program for them. The procedure addressing the inspection, testing, maintenance of all fall protection equipment. Now you have all the fall protection system in your hand. You have scaffolding materials, you have scaffold, you have a harness belt, you have all the fall protection safety precautionary tools in your organization. What you need to do is whether it is maintained properly. Sometimes you can see scaffolding materials has been thrown here and there on the open atmospheres. The scaffolding materials are dirty or it is broken or dent, which if you didn't have a proper inspection, if you don't have a proper system for the maintenance of those fall protection equipments, then again the fall protection system is of no use. That is another key point to understand. All your fall protection systems are properly inspected, tested. You may need to obtain a testing certificate for your full body harness. You may need to obtain a testing certificate for your scaffolding materials. So those are all the things you need to ensure that all those things are properly addressed and it is adequate enough. Now the process for evaluation of the employees' medical fitness, necessary equipment use and specification. Yes, as we have discussed in the previous slide, you need to have a plan and procedure to ensure that there will be a system. In that system, the people will enter only after they are trained, they are medically fit to work in such atmospheres. Other following precautionary measures to discuss is the work is properly planned and organized. Yes, there will be a work permit system and you need to ensure that the work permit systems are properly addressed all the issues related to that activity. Now, what here we would like to say from both points, the work is properly planned and organized. There was one chat box, chat answer from one of our gentlemen. SIMOPS need to be followed. The SIMOPS is very important because the work is properly planned and organized in the sense you may have multiple activities in one location. Some people may work behind or on upside down from where others are working. Because of one activity, the other may get affected. So the work is properly planned and organized. And if there are two different teams are working, like for example, maintenance and constructions are working in one location, the maintenance may need to open some holes which construction active people they may not know. So there should be some coordination between these two teams. This is the reason the work must be properly planned and organized so that the both teams are aware of the risk and they are taking necessary precautions before working. So obtain work permit, the second point, and shall assess the risk for the work to be carried out and ensure control measures for a safe execution of work. So once the work permit is issued, the worksite supervisors will ensure that the precautions which is mentioned in the risk assessment and the permit are taken care. Then ensure hierarchy of controls against faults implemented. What are the precautionary measures which has been identified or properly implemented needs to be ensured. Ensure the workers are trained. In addition to PP, appropriate fall protection such as safety harness, safety nets. We didn't discuss about safety nets. This is another fall protection. Again, the safety nets usually in a high-rise building and structures, they used to we used to have a safety net systems. Again, the safety net system has to undergo several inspections, certifications. There are some standard requirements. So the safety net system has to be constructed beneath the working atmosphere with certain ranges. So this is another one precautionary measures. But the safety net system, again, it will just hold the person or something or the materials from touching the ground. So this is another method. Now, inspect the fall protection system such as barriers, guardrails, fixtures, anchorage, and structures. So keep in your mind, if everything is there, the guardrails are installed, fixtures are installed, anchorages are installed, but you need to ensure whether it is adequate or not. The barriers are adequate or not, whether the barriers have any dents or damage or it is rigid. We have seen one recent picture, the video in I hope it is in India, where people they were gathering for collecting some admission forms in one of the university, I believe. While collecting the admission form from top floor around I think sixth floor, there is huge rush, but the floor is protected with the guardrails because of that rush, because of the people gathered there, which couldn't able to withstand the weight of the people who are in the on the edges of that guardrails. Results, nearly 5 to 6 people fell down from the height of almost 20 meters. So again, even there is a fixtures are there, anchorages are there. We know for each for one person, 2,450 kgs is allowed. Adequate is required for the anchorage. If there are multiple persons, then accordingly the anchorage protection shall be developed. So those are all the things that needs to be considered. Inspect the parts of harness belt, lanyards, all the straps of safety harness shall be securely tightened to the body parts. Working surface or floors must be checked to ensure that they have strength. This is what we have already discussed. Personnel working at height shall keep their tools secured to avoid accidental falls of the tools from the height. So again, we have some more additional points to discuss. The area in the vicinity of work at height should be barricaded and danger notice posted to alert the personnel, because some people they may work under the work at height at locations. So those areas should be properly barricaded so that others are not entering into this location. The danger arising due to adverse weather condition. We have seen some people they have in the chat box they talked about weather conditions. Even if you have installed a scaffolding structure, it is a temporary scaffolding structure, but the temporary scaffolding structures may not withstand the adverse weather conditions. Now we have sandstorm in Perth. Whether this sandstorm, we have scaffolding structures. Those scaffolding structures or any structures as a working platform is rigid enough for those kind of sandstorms that need to be assessed. People should not be allowed to work during such atmospheric conditions. After such atmospheric conditions, you need to re-inspect that the scaffolding structures or temporary platforms are strong enough even after such kind of atmospheric conditions. Now the people working in Kuwait, it is your duty tomorrow when you go back to your organization, if someone is working in temporary scaffolding structures, go first and check whether these scaffolding structures are properly protected. It is the strength is same, or if you need to again dismantle and reconstruct, then you need to again do it for sure. Otherwise, the poor or damaged or the structure which is already damaged because of environmental conditions, it cannot protect. It may not protect your people when they are working after this atmospheric conditions. Now, the danger rising due to adverse weather condition, poor visibility, ensure people working at night, they have adequate lighting facilities. They are not stepping onto wrong areas, so which is allowing people to fall down. So those things you need to ensure adequate light facilities, illumination you must ensure. From scissor lifts to booms, machine elevated working platforms are inspected and certified. The operators are trained and competent. This is new subject in this presentation because we have seen many different discussions in the previous slides. Now, yes, we used to use scissor lifts. Will be having machine elevated working platforms. So those machine elevated working platforms also need to be inspected and certified. Those who are operating those equipments, they must be trained and competent, and they must operate within the range whether which is allowed as per the manufacturer recommendation. You should not do any modification activities. You should not modify anything on the on those kind of equipments without manufacturer instruction. If at all you are doing such kind of modification, then again it has to be inspected and certified. Otherwise, those kind of modifications are not encouraged in working organizations. Fall rescue plan. Any method statement or fall protection plan must include a fall rescue plan that considers how a worker after fall suspended with a harness or an injured worker could be safely recovered, which we have already discussed in our previous slides. So here again, these are all some of the standard requirements. We are not going to go in detail because those kind of detailed information will be having in our other presentations. So here we are not going to discuss in detail, or we are not going to go very detailed with regards to any standard requirements. Just I am just sharing this slide for your understanding. If we are installing a main guardrail, it must be at least 750 mm above the edge. If you are having toe board, there is a requirement. If you are having intermediate guardrails, so there is a range requirement. You can refer OSHA and other standard documents, or even if you have any procedures developed for your organization, you need to develop, you need to review those procedures for those kind of standard requirements. So approximate an appropriate landing place of adequate size and strength shall be provided at every 30 feet. This is for the vertical climb for ladders and other climbing areas where you need to have adequate size and strength of landing place need to be provided. So these are all some of the other things. All PPE for working at height must meet OSHA Appendix C2, that is 1910.66. These are all European and OSHA standard requirements and the new standard requirements for PPEs. So you can review those things. Now again, we are not going detail in this precautionary measures like lanyards and anchor points. For everything, there is the standard requirements which we need to follow. But why this standard has been developed for those things, that we will discuss in next detailed presentations. Finally, we have come to that one last point, that is with regards to ground clearance. This is very confusing subject for many of us, that how to calculate potential fall distance. You would have seen this picture in Google or some other areas. So those kind of information will give you some amount of information. Consider that the person is 5.5 meter, sorry, 5.5 feet or 6 feet of height, and he is working at elevated atmosphere of 2 meter and above. So 2 meter plus on top of him he is standing. So which is around 1.5, 3.5, and you need to usually anchor on top of it. So generally you may not have this kind of clearance when you are working at a 2 meter height. Basically, this is for a distance of total 18.5 feet. That is 5.6 meter from anchorage to ground level. Then only there will be a safety factor of 3 feet. So if people are working, that means if your anchoring point is 5.6 meter from there, from the ground level, then there is a safety factor, including safety factor. The person is safe enough so that he will not touch the ground even if he is falling down. So this is a potential fall distance diagram for us to understand. If at all people are working at 2 meter and less than this height, again the people, there is a possibility they can touch the ground. But you know the deceleration distance may not be that much. Usually the deceleration of 3.5 feet is being discussed here at this location. But since the fall is very small and the deceleration is not that much, so that again even in that place also sometimes they are safe enough when they are falling down. So these are all the points which we would like to share in this webinar. So before winding up, some of the key points to remember. These key points keep please remember, it will be very helpful for you when you are developing a plan or you are working in any working atmosphere. Keep in your mind that you need to eliminate working at height whenever wherever it is possible and feasible. Ensure all your workers are trained enough. Ensure that all your tools are inspected, maintained, certified also. Ensure there is adequate supervision to monitor the people, because usually workers tend to do mistakes. We have seen so many chat informations from you. People are not tying, the workers are not wearing properly that harness belt, they are bypassing the system, they are taking shortcuts. So all these things should be properly monitored, ensured by proper supervision. Then plan and procedure must be properly developed and ensure the PPEs are given and adequate. So this is a session for today, and I would like to thank Nlighton for giving an opportunity to share with you all this wonderful session today. Thank you.